story. What, 10 days ago you first went to the Herman Cain campaign and said what?
Well, we said that we had heard of these allegations. We subsequently actually named one of the women who had made the allegations. Initially, their response was to first ignore us and then to say that they were unfamiliar with them. Then they shifted and said they were vaguely familiar with these allegations, but denied that he had ever been accused of sexual harassment, which you heard Herman Cain say himself yesterday on that video that you just showed. Today, of course, he's admitting that, in fact, he was the subject of a sexual harassment allegation, but he says that they were false. He says that there was an investigation into it that cleared him. We are actually reporting now that, in fact, there was no such investigation, or if there was, it was very narrowly held within the top executives of the National Restaurant Association, because neither the Director of Human Resources nor the officers of the Board of Directors knew anything about any of these allegations, let alone a settlement, when we talked to them. So
basically you're saying what he said today, that there was an investigation, that you're suggesting that when you say there was no investigation, or that it might have been a very modest investigation, you're saying he's misleading us on this?
Well, if he's saying that there was a comprehensive investigation, I don't know his exact words, but they were something to that effect. We talked to all of the folks who would have been involved in such an investigation, and most of them had never heard anything of the sort.
Because this is what you write, among other things, because I want you to elaborate. The women complained of sexually suggestive behavior by Cain that made them angry and uncomfortable. And you go on to say there were also descriptions of physical gestures that were not overtly sexual, but that made women who experienced or witnessed them uncomfortable. Did you get more specifics? Do you have more details of what this is all about?
Well, in fact, I was talking to a source today who said that one of the women told him that that Herman Cain invited her up to his hotel room during a National Restaurant Association event and made sexually explicit suggestions to her that made her feel uncomfortable. That would be an example of the type of thing that we're talking about here.
And this was a woman who worked for him?
That's correct. She was a woman who worked for him. She felt threatened. She felt as if her job was at risk, and she was very upset. The source who told this to me, who she told it to, said that this was a very composed young woman who nonetheless was extremely angry that she had been put into this situation by Herman Cain.
Did you and your colleagues actually speak to these two women?
Some of my colleagues did the reporting and talked to either the women or representatives of the women or folks to whom they had directly relayed
But
these.
some of your colleagues, your journalistic colleagues at Politico, did speak to both of these women personally.
At least one of them.
At least one of them. The other one didn't want to say anything. They apparently signed confidentiality agreements that they wouldn't disclose anything in exchange for what you say were 5 figures, what, $50,000, $75,000. Do you know any specifics on how much each of them received?
We're not revealing the details. They were obviously more than $10,000 and less than $100,000. And included in those were non-disclosure agreements that they not talk about them. That's part of the sensitivity here, part of the reason why we're not naming these people.
Were they not allowed to speak to their friends or family about it either, or just the public?
Well, not being familiar with the precise language, we did have one of my colleagues who did, in fact, review one of these documents. I can't speak to directly what this particular one said, but typically the way a non-disclosure agreement would work would be folks outside of the sort of inner circle.